afternoon. I'm Erick Erickson. This is Four Things to Know this afternoon for June 25th. Glad you're here. Let's get to the truth behind today's headlines with clear-eyed analysis. Up first, Tom Homan gave an interview. He's President Trump's border czar and announced he's living apart from his wife, not because of politics or marital turmoil, but because of the threats that come from enforcing the law. In a revealing interview, Homan shared that he and his wife are separated for her safety, following a barrage of death threats tied to his work on immigration enforcement. He said, quote, "My wife is living separately from me at the moment, primarily because I put in long hours, but mainly due to the death threats directed towards me. He visits her when he can, but the threats, he says, are, quote, truly alarming." Whatever you think of Trump's immigration policies, there is a human cost for those tasked with carrying them out. Tom Homan, who previously served as ICE's acting director, has presided over more than 25,000 arrests and 70,000 deportations. He's been called the intellectual father of the family separation policy, a lightning rod for criticism from the left. But Homan isn't backing down. He's returned to government service at a pay cut, motivated by what he calls the crucial need for border security. He's faced protesters outside his home and says, "I know how crucial it is." He defends ICE's criminal operations, noting that recent arrests in Los Angeles were tied to money laundering and cartel activity, not just immigration violations, contrary to the spin of some. He asks a fair question. What are the disadvantages of reducing drug trafficking, of fewer individuals affiliated with terror organizations crossing the border? Homan says Democrats won't answer because deep down they know a secure border is good policy, even if they can't admit it out loud because the politics of the progressive left make it hard for them to do so. On Capitol Hill, all eyes are on a massive legislation package, the so-called mega bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Senator Ron Johnson met Donald Trump at the White House as Republican lawmakers weigh whether to back or block the sprawling bill that bundles government funding, border security, and a host of other initiatives. The stakes are high for conservatives. The question is whether the package does enough to secure the border and rein in spending, or if it's just more business as usual in Washington. Ron Johnson is a key vote the president needs to get on board, and he's not completely sold yet. While details are still emerging, the meeting signals Donald Trump isn't just a bystander on this. He's actively guiding the legislation. The bill's fate could shape the rest of the legislative year, and with the 2026 midterms on the horizon, every vote counts. Meanwhile, Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, the intellectual leader of the House conservatives, is on social media this afternoon signaling the Senate bill's a non-starter in the House and actually expands programs and spending the GOP promised to cut, including Joe Biden's green scam. Up next, BP and Shell. There's a super major merger in the making in the business world, two of the largest names in energy. Shell and BP. It looks like they're talking about a potential merger. If it happens, it would be the biggest oil deal in a generation, combining two of what are called the super majors into a single powerhouse. BP shares jumped on the news while Shell's dipped slightly. The combined company would be better positioned to compete with American giants like ExxonMobil and Chevron. For context, BP is worth roughly $80 billion. The merger would reshape the global energy landscape. Why now? Well, the oil industry is under pressure from both environmental activists and shifting government policies. A merger could help the companies cut costs, invest in new technologies, and weather the transition to cleaner energy programs. But it also raises questions about competition and market power. Regulators in the United States and Europe are going to be watching this one very closely. For American consumers, the impact could be mixed. Larger companies often mean more efficiency, but less competition could also mean higher prices at the pump. We're going to keep an eye on this story as it develops. This one has actually big and far-reaching economic consequences. And lastly, there are signs that President Trump's tariffs are starting to have the impact economists have feared. This is a story that hits close to home for everybody who's out there shopping, especially as prices rise. President Trump's tariffs on imported goods have retailers scrambling to process returns and get products back on the resale market as quickly as possible. So here's what's going on. Like it or not, tariffs have driven up the cost of many goods. We're starting to see it in the markets. Retailers facing higher prices for new inventory are now rushing to get returned items, products that either haven't had a tariff placed on them or already had the tariff paid, back onto the shelves as quickly as possible. The process is called reverse logistics. It's all about efficiency. The faster a retailer can get and process a return, the sooner the items can be resold, often at a discount, and many of those items were purchased and returned before the tariffs applied. Casey Krause, CEO of Optero, says it's advantageous for retailers to expedite returns processing to restock items in stores. While processing expenses average 30% of the purchase price, returns are a crucial way for companies to manage costs in a tariff-driven environment. More than 75% of consumers are open to buying re-commerced products, secondhand or returned items, so retailers are investing more in repairing and reselling merchandise as quickly as possible. This is another warning sign something is starting to happen with the tariffs out there. According to the National Retail Federation, returns in the retail sector are expected to hit $890 billion this year. That's a staggering figure, and it shows how tariffs are rippling through the economy, not just at the ports, but all the way down to your local store. So what do we take from today? Well, the people enforcing our laws, like Tom Homan, are paying a personal price for doing their job and doing it well, and that's a reality often ignored in the political debate. In Washington, President Trump isn't just engaged on Iran. Unlike his predecessor, he's multitasking, showing his influence to shape the Republican agenda, showing he's very much engaged on border security and spending. In the business world, the Shell BP talks remind us the energy sector is changing fast, with big mergers possibly shaping the markets. It'll be interesting to see how the Trump administration handles this from a regulatory merger approach. On Main Street, tariffs are starting to drive innovation in retail, but also we're starting to signal that the higher prices many of us warned about are starting to show up. That's the truth, as best we can tell it this afternoon. That's the 4 things you need to know before you get home today. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe there. Help us grow the channel and grow this podcast. Until next time, please stay informed, stay engaged, and please keep the faith.